Talking about principles of training. Okay, in 2000, 1999 and 2000, I created the Foundations of Physical Preparation text, and I identified 11 principles. 4 years later, 9 of them were used, and 10 years later, 6 of them were used. General to specific. This principle stresses the benefit of progressing from general training to specific training. This principle explores the benefits of progression from general training to more specific, about sport-specific training. General to specific can, general to sport-specific training can be. It is worth considering exposing a young athlete. It is worthwhile exposing young or inexperienced athletes to a broad base of movement activities, prior to specialising, and the smoke screen of some other names gone in there. Individualisation. A bit hard to compare, but that paragraph you're seeing there, just copied off the top paragraph. The training effect is necessary to take into account. The training effect is necessary to take into account. This suggests that each training program needs to be individualised, modified to suit the individual. Each training program needs to be individualised, modified to suit the individual. Opposite and equal effect. The concept is based on the belief that to every action there is a positive and negative outcome, and that often the negative outcome is equal or as powerful as the positive one. The concept is based on the belief that to every action in training there is a positive and a negative outcome, and often the negative outcome is equal or as powerful as the positive one. 4 years later. It didn't stop there. 11 years later, still using the, for every action, there is an equal and opposite action. In training, there's both a positive and negative outcome. That a negative outcome is equal as a positive one. For example, and look at my example, internal rotation of the upper arm, 1999, 2009, internal rotation of the arm shoulder. Becomes shorter and tighter than the external rotators. Becomes shorter and tighter than the external rotators. Opposite and equal effect. The strong message and equal opposite effect, the underlying message of this principle, is that every single training method will have a negative effect and must be counted. Is that every single method will have a negative effect and must be counted. 10 years later, every single training method must be addressed, a bit more paraphrasing over the years. Progressive overload. This principle, 1999, stresses 2 issues. Firstly, the need for overload in training. Secondly, the need for progression in training. It stresses 2 issues. Firstly, the need for overload in training, and secondly, the need for a progression in training overload. Now note this is again 2009. Our bodies are lazy, resistant to change. Our bodies are lazy, resistant to change. Principle of recovery. 1999, the principle of recovery recognises that. 2003, the principle of recovery recognises that training alone, the principle of recovery recognises that training alone. 2009, 10 years later. Reversibility wasn't obviously popular enough in 2009 to retain the copying. Understanding this principle will assist you in determining issues. Understanding this principle will allow you to determine, one word different. Specificity. The said principle. The said principle. Specific adaptation to imposed demands. Specific adaptation to imposed demands. The principle suggests that your adaptation and training will be very specific. Principle suggests that your adaptation and training will be specific. I've used examples of long, slow running. He's used examples of long, slow running. A little bit of work, you know, took it from up here and moved it up here. 2009. 2009, the two of them. This principle suggests specific. For example, long, slow running. Transfer. Principle transfer focuses on, this principle places more importance on doing the training that gives the best result. This principle places more importance on doing the training that gives the best result. But it does on conforming with specificity for the sake of specificity. Than it does on conforming to specificity for the sake of specificity. Variety. During periods prior to competition, during periods prior to competition. Bit of work, cut out a few words.